Hi there, my name is Juji. Welcome to my channel. This is a space for anyone and everyone who's interested in exploring self-development and relationships through the human design system. Well, today I'm going to do another request that I got. We're going to be talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Again, if you have any requests, please put them in the comments after you watch this video. I'm thinking about doing Drew Barrymore and Justin Long next, just because they recently reunited on her talk show and it was adorkable. So if you have any requests, I'd love to hear them. Before we get started on Johnny and Amber, I just want to point out one thing. When I'm looking at a human design chart, I'm looking at somebody's imprintation from the time of their birth, meaning it's their birth chart, which represents their true nature and their true potential. What the chart doesn't account for is nurture. And what I see in these two individuals is that their nurture was not great. And what do we say? Hurt people hurt people. So even though we want an explanation through the human design system, and I'm certainly going to do my best to explain their behavior through their charts, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge that these are two people who are deeply damaged. And so there's no channel in the chart that shows us why somebody is an alcoholic, or no channel in the chart that shows us why somebody would defecate on a bed. These are behaviors that are responses to triggers that were instilled at a very early age. So there's no accounting for that in the chart, but I do feel like in their case, there is a lot to learn. So let's get started. So this is Johnny Depp. He's a 2-4 split definition, emotional manifester, and he's on the right angle cross of rulership, which is interesting because that is the same cross as Kanye West. And I just did a video about the clash of his rulership with Kim's cross of laws. So we'll see how Johnny's rulership played out when it comes to looking at the chart in a holistic way. So right off the bat, what I want to point out is that manifestors have a closed aura. It is a protection mechanism. They are here to have impact on the world, which Johnny clearly has. He is a very unique kind of actor. He's been able to take on so many different kinds of roles. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships with a manifestor, a lot of the time, people feel like they can't quite reach them. They can't quite know the person that they're in a relationship with. And of course, this is something that Amber could have taken personally because she felt like she wanted to know Johnny. She felt like she wanted to be in a partnership with him. But manifestors aren't necessarily here to partner. They are here to go their own way and be their own boss, and not necessarily adhere to what society typically considers a healthy relationship in which both partners have equal say in it. That's not really a manifestor trip. Now, I just want to point out also that the not self theme of a manifestor is anger. And this is something that Amber consistently pointed out, was that he would have these outbursts of anger. The thing, though, is that outbursts of anger are healthy for a manifestor. They're not here to hold on to that anger. That can be very detrimental to their health. So they are here to let it out, but they're here to let it out in healthy ways and definitely not to direct it at a person. So Johnny's outbursts were sometimes, just thrashing around the house. I watched the court case a little bit and saw a few incidents that she taped where he's like slamming cabinet doors and things like that. And it was so correct when you're looking at it through the HD lens. But of course, we like to make things more catastrophic than they actually are. So this is Amber Heard. She's a 1-3 single definition sacral generator on the right angle cross of the unexpected, which is the same cross as Machine Gun Kelly. Interesting patterns evolving here. Like I said, human design is nothing if not pattern recognition. And I just want to say that Amber doesn't have accurate birth time. So this is the best I could do in terms of guessing what her design is. She remains a sacral generator throughout the day, as well as a 1-3 profile. So those are all correct. At some parts of the day, she has the full channel 1762 from the ajna to the throat. But this is probably the most accurate chart we'll see. So let's look at her and Johnny together. So this is Johnny and Amber. They are 7 and 2 work to do, meaning there's 2 centers open and 7 defined. And guys, they have 0 electromagnetic connections in their chart. So that's usually the thing that I focus on the most. And there's nothing to really point to in terms of what might have sparked their relationship together. But let's take a look a little bit further. So again, opposites tend to attract. So Amber was very attracted to Johnny's emotionality, his ego definition, his defined G, which she has open. And these are the things that initially may feel like you can't live without, but then they can also end up turning on you. Because when a manifestor is impacting you with their aura and the emotional wave is high and everything feels so yummy, it's great. When that emotionality turns to rage and then it gets directed at you, that's not so nice. He also has the 1949, which is all about the sensitivity for the tribe. And I feel like this really goes very well with her channel 5027, the channel of caring. And he did talk in the beginning of the trial about how she seemed too good to be true, which I guess everybody was snickering at because she was too good to be true. But initially what he meant was that he would come home from work and she would literally take his boots off for him and pour him a glass of wine because she was so into being this caring, doting wife at the beginning. And then it all kind of turned to shit, right? But he was seeing her as this antidote to how he was raised, which we got a huge insight into in terms of how his mother treated him and his sister and his father. And it was just a really toxic, abusive home. So the fact that he was being cared for on this level was probably very soothing at first. And then it probably became really disappointing. So one last thing about Johnny is that he has a channel 2145. I have this too, and it is conscious in him. This is the channel of money, but really it is the channel of the tribal ruler. Remember, he's on the cross of rulership as well. So this for him is all about being the king of his castle. He was a serious breadwinner in their relationship, and in many ways, Amber was sort of portrayed as this gold digger, right? Like she was really at the very beginning of her career when they got together, and there was a huge age gap there. She was still in her 20s. So what could they have possibly had in common? And some people believe that she really went after him and she went after his money. So when he realized that that could have become this huge point of contention between the two of them, when he felt like he was just being used and that caring that he was receiving at one point just wasn't authentic. Wouldn't you be upset about that? Okay, so a little bit about Amber. Aside from this channel of caring, she also has the 360, this channel of mutation. And we've talked about this before because so many celebrity charts also have this channel. It is a really powerful energy. It is a format energy that has this pulse of mutation, of individuality. But what is also associated with the 360 is an oscillation between chaos and order. And sometimes this can lead to mood swings in a way that is very reminiscent of the emotional wave, but I kind of see it as lightness, darkness, not high and low. And so when somebody feels like they're in this dark, dark place during this upheaval that might be happening through this mutative pulse, there could be some blame being deflected outwards in terms of who's to blame for me feeling like I'm in this really dark place. Whereas the misunderstanding simply comes from the fact that, oh, I'm in this dark place. This is a time for me to have creative space. It's a time for me to be by myself and be alone and not necessarily put it on somebody else. But it seems like she wasn't really able to do that. Johnny has his ups and downs going on, which she's taking in with her open solar plexus. That usually ends up being a sore spot for most couples who are unaware of what's going on. And so there felt like a lot of blame was being sort of like thrown at each other during this very nasty court case. And I can kind of see why, or what the origin of that was. I also want to point out that she has this channel 1858, which is the channel of judgment. And this channel also gets misconstrued a lot of the times in that it is a collective judgment that this channel is about. It is about judging the bigger picture and seeing how you can course correct, work on what has been spoiled, right? But what ends up happening with people who have this channel is that they're judging everyone who's close to them. You're not supposed to necessarily judge those in your life. Nobody likes being judged by their spouse, especially if you're struggling with some sort of substance abuse. Your significant other is here to be a partner to you. They're here to be an adversary, not somebody that you have to worry about when you come home. Home should not be a place where you feel like you're being judged. And that might be something that was really difficult for them because it ends up being very nitpicky. You know, these people nitpick because they love, but that doesn't necessarily mean it lands in that way. Nobody likes feeling like somebody is judging them for who they are and their character. And this channel of struggle, just boy, she has it so many times. It's in her Pluto, it's in her nodes. It's like, you know, there's just so much struggle in this chart and you can see it playing out. You know, she was struggling in her relationship with him. She's been struggling since they broke up. She's been struggling through this court case and it's just never ending, it seems. I feel like I get Google alerts all the time about some new thing that's come out about Johnny and Amber and it just doesn't want to end. Okay, so finally, their connection chart. I just want to point out there are a lot of compromises here, but the compromises seem to be equal. So sometimes Amber is compromised to Johnny, sometimes Johnny is compromised to Amber. And there's 3 dominance channels. So this channel of money that Johnny has, he is the ruler. There is no chemistry that Amber has in that channel. And then her channel of judgment and her channel of preservation, the 5027 and the 1858, these are both channels that Johnny doesn't have any chemistry in. So in that way, she does dominate. He's not just the ruler, he's also the emotional authority in the relationship, meaning it's his wave that she has to wait for because she has a sacral that can make decisions in the moment and this spleen that can help her with that moment to moment, breath by breath decision making. But his is a lot longer, so she has to wait for him. All right, guys, that was a lot to cover. I just want to remind us again that this is all about their nature, not necessarily their nurture. That is not taken into consideration in this chart. And there's probably a lot more to this story than we'll ever know. And I think that that's a great place to wrap it up. If you guys like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Please also comment below if you have any comments, questions, or requests. You can also follow me on Instagram at @HDbyZ and find me on my website. The link will be in the show notes. There you can see I offer individual human design readings, a relationship mentorship program, and a community for conscious women called the Beehive. Would you like to receive a reading about your personal relationship, or would you like to know how human design can help you personally? Feel free to book a Zoom call appointment on my website. Until next time, thank you for stopping by. Ciao for now.